we're referring to that if your parents in farming, if they have black Angus cattle, chances are you'd have black Angus. Okay, not because you may have inherited the farm, but maybe your family had experienced a lot of success with that. Okay, if it's not black Angus, maybe it's Charolais. Okay, maybe it's red white face. Okay, maybe it's roan. Maybe it's black white face. If you have, we do problems. If you have two white faced cattle and try to breed them, you can. But it's just not very common. It's just for the sake of problem solving and explaining this content. Okay? So when we talk about codominant traits, okay, that's what's inside the box here. Okay? Incomplete dominance. Okay? So we've got this. You call them something different, or do you call them red Angus as well? Okay, it could be Aberdeens is what they're called, Aberdeen Angus. Okay, then on the other end of the spectrum, I really don't know if I'm going to spell this right because it's French, I believe. So if you see the Charolais color, what is that? I suppose cream, maybe, but it's not what I would call it. I just think it makes it more simple. That is probably more accurate. But for our terms, white. Charolais are white. Okay? And then you have something that's in between the two. Okay? So unlike with codominance, you see both of these traits, okay, being expressed at the same time. You see the black body and the white face. In this case, you see the red color, the white color, and then something in between. And I don't want to say cream color, but some of you probably do have what I want to say, red poles. Some you might call them limousines instead. Okay, you have the Aberdeen Angus, the limousine, and then the Charolais. Maybe that's a little more common. Now, genotypes for these. Okay, in this case, we want to use big R, big R. The other end of the spectrum, two small R's, and then a hybrid of the two. You're going to have that recessive trait in there. Okay? That's totally different than codominance. Okay? Here you have them both being expressed at the same time. This is just a mixture of the two. Kind of like if you had black paint, white paint, mix the two, what do you get? Gray. Okay? So that would be an example of what we're talking about here, if that makes more sense. Okay. So let's say, for instance, if we had a word, probably better stick with blue. The rest of these, I'm afraid you're not going to be able to see. Okay? What are the results of okay? So, what is one of the cattle, a genotype? Okay, so we've got a red Angus. Okay, and we're going to say it's got horns, but with this horns, is it homozygous or heterozygous? Okay, it's heterozygous. Red, okay, red Angus bull that is heterozygous. Now, I'm sorry, what time did you say you needed to leave? 3:15?
Yep.
Okay. for horns, and the heifer is, okay? Is the heifer a red poll or a Charlet? Charlet. Okay? With no horns. Okay? So we want to do just the phenotype for this. Okay? And this is an incomplete dominant cross, not codominance. We're going to have all capital letters for coat color. Here, you just have a mixture in between the two. That's why we call that codominance. Okay. Let me know when you got this caught up so we can put the cross on there. Some of this is this is just coming from experience, okay? The coat color is going to be very, very simple. Very simple. How many of you would have guessed that? Okay. Are you guessing that, or do you know that? Yes.
We already have them mixed together up there.
Well, in a roundabout way, you're correct. Okay? We'll illustrate that in just a moment. Okay? So, for the bull, okay, what are the alleles or the genotype for this red Angus bull? What two alleles would we use? Okay, so we got two big R's because we said red Angus, so that's two big R's. Okay? Then we're going to leave a little bit of a space for the horns for, well, I guess we don't have to. Okay? Because the bull is heterozygous for horns. So what does that mean to you if it's heterozygous? One of each. One of each over here. Okay? So we have capital H and lowercase h. Okay. Now, what is the Charlet coat color? Two little R's. Okay. And what does it mean if we say no horns right now? Two little H's. Are we feeling maybe a little more comfortable with getting this set up? Are we getting closer to say, oh, okay, this isn't quite so bad? Think of your electron configurations from last year, the slide rule. Oh my gosh, I'm starting to go into spasms from that already. Is that anybody experiencing that? 1, 2, 3. Okay, well, it's not too bad. Because for those of you who decide to take general chemistry next year, we'll see who was and wasn't paying attention as freshmen. I don't say that to be mean. We'll see once how quick we can understand that. But let's cross that bridge when we get there. Okay. Can I erase this? Okay? Because we have our important information here. So we don't need this anymore. Okay? And we'll point you in the right direction. Okay, so I got to write really neat now because I'm in a confined space. Okay, so left side. Okay, what two letters by two letters, what are we putting? What's our first terms? What are our outside terms? Big R and little h. I mean, you're not wrong. You are going to have another big R, big H. But this is why we want to remain consistent, okay? What are your inside terms? There's your big R, big H, and then finally what? What about across the top? I'm not even going to look at the cross. Why is that? They're all going to be the same. You only have one combination. Little r, little h. Outside, little r, little h. Inside, little r, little h. And then last, little r, little h. Okay? Doesn't Shrek say that? Better out than in? I don't know. Okay. So, with that, for those of you, you were probably right, but maybe for the wrong reasons. It is possible that sometimes that happens. Okay, I explained that to another student earlier, and because sometimes you do get things right, but it's not why you would think that would be. Okay. And the reason I say that, inside each and every one of these boxes, what's the coat color going to be? Can you be a little more specific? No? Because red Angus and red pole, okay, did we say red pole first? Red Angus would be incorrect, but red pole would be because, okay, what are your two R's in this first box?
Big R, small R.
What about this box? What about all the way down here? How about this one? Do we see a, now don't rely on that. This is just coming from lots of experience, okay? But anyway, let's go ahead and put the horned trait in there. So big H, little h, okay? Big H, little h. Oops. Kind of fighting the clock here. Okay. Can you see that color? I'm kind of short on markers because I brought them over to the chemistry lab, and then well, maybe this one wants to wake up. That's not any better, is it? Okay, and then, so I think this comes out to be 25%, 25%, 25%, and 25%. No, 8 and 8, isn't it? 8 and 8, okay. Okay, so each and every one of these coat colors is going to be what you had said? Red pole. Okay? And in this line and this line, do horns show up? Yes. Red pole and horns. Okay? In each and every one of these boxes, we still have red pole. But in this line and this one, there's no horns. So that we come up with an 8 to 8. Okay. We went through that really, really fast. Okay. So I would be led to believe that this is maybe a little easier to do just because we've had some experience with this one first. This one to me is the tougher one of the two. We got that out of the way. Now we're to a type of crossbred that's a little simpler. We're in a little more familiar territory. Okay.
So this is incomplete dominance?
This is incomplete dominance. And this is codominance, yes. The reason we say that, both of these are being expressed. That's why it's codominance. This, however, the red pole's not being expressed. The Charlet is not being expressed. It's a mix in between the two, so it's incomplete pink, you could say. It's not all red, it's not all white. It's you mix in between the two, and that's how you get that type of a breed. Yep. Okay. Is there any questions over this cross then? Left outside. It's so good that we're dreaming about that. We didn't inhale too many chemicals over there, did we? That hex not flying off of the centrifuge, did that wake you up? I thought for sure that one of the test tube holders just came flying off the side. But that's good old American craftsmanship over there. You know how old that centrifuge is? 20 years old, and it still works. Hasn't fallen apart yet. Okay? So left outside, are we good? Okay, middle. Okay, right side. All right, so I will hand this out. The rest of the time, if you choose to work on one, we've got 4 problems on here. The first one is with pea plants. There, if you have the tall trait, for instance, it's going to be tall. It's none of this mixing here like it is with cattle. If you're dealing with cattle, it's either codominance or incomplete dominance. Okay? Then number 2 is dealing with a roan cross. Number 3 is 2 black-white face cattle. And then number 4 is also talking about 2 roans. So number 1 is the only one that has complete dominance. Okay, that's all I have. We'll catch up to you next time.